Welcome to the Fight for Our Resistance podcast. Today's episode was recorded on May 5th on the steps of the state capitol in Sacramento, California during the MMIP gathering. I sat down with Bernadette Smith, who was representing the Manchester Point Arena band of Pomo Indians and speaking on behalf of her sister, Nicole Smith. Nicole Smith was murdered on November 17th, 2017 on the Manchester Reservation in Mendocino County, California. Nicole was a mother of three, a sister, and a beautiful traditional dancer. Her case remains unsolved and no one has ever been charged. In this conversation, Bernadette shares what happened that night, how Nicole's death affected her children and family, and how ceremony, prayer, and culture have helped her continue to carry her sister's story. At the end of this episode, I will also include a live recording of Bernadette singing a traditional song from the MMIP event that day. Again, I want to thank Indigenous Justice for bringing me out to Sacramento to help record these stories and for the work they continue to do for MMIP families throughout California. This recording was done outside the Capitol, so you may hear some of the event in the background. I let some of that sound in because we were there at that moment with families still speaking, praying, asking for justice. Please keep Nicole Smith, Bernadette, Nicole's children, and their family in your thoughts and prayers. Today we're here at the state capitol from MMIP. I wanted to talk about you advocating for your sister, and from right here, can you introduce yourself and then let us know why you're here today?
Yeah, Chamai and Maya Iwa, Tochichima and Bernadette Smith, and I'm representing for the Manchester Point Arena band of Pomo Indians.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're here today at the state capitol for the MMIP event, and I'm here on behalf of my sister, Nicole Smith.
Okay. And what happened when Nicole Smith, your sister, when did she pass away?
Yeah, so she was murdered on November 17th, 2017.
Okay.
And she was the mother of three children and the sister of many sisters and one brother. And she was a beautiful traditional dancer, a beautiful mother, sister, everything you could ask for.
Yeah. The day that it happened with your sister, do you know something was wrong at the time?
Yeah, so if I can, I'll get in a little bit of the story.
Okay.
So my sister was staying with me on my home on the Manchester Reservation in Mendocino County, where I had lived for about 6 or 7 years already. So she had been staying with me for a few months, and one night we were just having a good time. It was around beginning to be holiday time, so she was decorating the house, playing Mariah Carey Christmas music, and just kind of getting into the spirit of the holidays that were coming upon us. And we had a house full of kids there. My little cousins were there. My cousin Clarence Carrillo's kids had always hung out with mine, so they were hanging out that night. Uh-huh. And so at about, I'd say 5 or so a.m., I woke up to some really loud booms, and it turned out somebody was doing an attempted home invasion on my house. Okay. Yeah, so they shot through the window, the front living room window. They shot through the front door, and they actually hit my niece, Star Brightman, who was 15 at the time. She was shot as well. Fortunately, her wounds weren't fatal, but unfortunately, my sister Nicole was hit in my daughter's window where they had opened the window there.
Okay. How many people were in the house when they took shots at your house?
Yeah, so I had my niece Angel there, a friend of mine's daughter, Christy, my niece Star, Clarence's kids, Danica and Shirley, my sister Nicole, myself, as well as Nicole's boyfriend, Orlando. So there was a pretty good size amount of people in the home.
And for him, for only getting 2 people in that area, that is crazy.
Yeah. And so my house was at the end of the reservation, so it was like at the end of the road there. So there was only one way in and one way out. And unfortunately, nobody seen anything. But again, the Mendocino County Sheriff's Department, as you may have heard with Ronnie's interview, they are known to, have systemic racism within their operation. So I think it really had something to do with the conduct that they did as far as their investigation. We hadn't heard about how many cars they, searched, or homes, or even the amount of people that they interviewed about the case. It was kind of, for us, we felt like the Mendocino County Sheriff's Department didn't really offer us any sort of engagement that we were looking for as far as updates or just any faith in them, offered any hope within their, jurisdiction that they were looking actively for this person.
Do you guys know who potentially it is that shot at your house?
Well, we thought we knew, and we did let the police know, and they did arrest this person. But As far as what came about that, nothing. So the person that we thought we knew for sure was involved, he was arrested and booked in, and nothing came of that. So I'm not really sure what evidence they were lacking or if he wasn't involved at all. But as the years pass and nothing has came forth, it's, your mind keeps thinking, who, how, why, who could it be? And, we go to different events and within our community, but we feel that it obviously is somebody within our network of people we know.
Did they close the case?
Well, it's a cold case, so it's not closed officially. It's just a cold case right now. Yeah. And I don't know when it moved to that. They didn't, like I said, they hadn't been in communication with our family. We kind of went there a few times and asked them, who can we speak with about the case? And they had trouble even locating who could have been working the case last or who was in charge of that case at this point. And that was only about 3 years after it had happened. Yeah. So here we're moving into 9 years, and it just feels like a little bit hopeless for us.
Yeah. Because your case is a lot different than for you. She was already...
Yeah. So for us, and a lot of the legislation that's been passed, like the Feather Alert, we do support that. Our family comes out and supports the good work that everybody's doing behind that. It's just, unfortunately, that doesn't really do much for my sister's case. Yeah, for the cold cases like that have already been, we have my sister's body, things like that. There's just not much we can do in that regard. So we are still looking for advocacy from tribal leaders to maybe see what we can do to help relieve some of that that pressure, or put some of that pressure on, should I say, on the Mendocino County Sheriff's Department. Yeah. From what we've spoke with them in public venues like other MMIW events like in Mendocino County and Ukiah, California that have taken place, a lot of what I heard from them is that funding is an issue. Yeah. So they don't have enough funding and things like that. So I think that that's kind of what they're looking for, or their excuse for why nothing has happened thus far has been around that. So part of what I've always talked about within my my advocacy work around MMIW is to kind of confront that issue and ask them exactly, where the funding has been spent. Yeah. How much of the funding that they did have goes on Native American cases versus non-Native cases. And I think looking into that can kind of put it more on paper and perspective for people to see that the systemic racism is real.
Yes.
And so it's really hard to get those numbers from them. But I think with lots more support from tribal entities, putting pressure on these different departments, I think we can come to some conclusions that will put our mind at ease. And at ease, not by solving these cases, but more about that our passion and our feelings of anger is real and is put in the right place.
Your sister, how many kids did she have at the time?
Yeah, she had 3. So my nephew, Nicholas, my niece, Delia, and Nathan. So at that time, I forgot to mention Nathan was also in the house that night. Okay. So her son, Nathan, was there. And so he got to kind of see everything that had happened. And he's about 18 now. And so he was about 10 years old when that had happened. So it really had some lasting effects on him that we had to witness through, his life. Yeah. Kind of like really shy. He went through these really phases of like not taking his hood off for years. I mean, wow. It had some really like emotional effects on him that we had to see and continue to see that happen within her children's lives.
Yeah, I always say everything about when Native women, when they pass, it takes a lot of effect on the Native community because for women is that we're a matriarch society. You think about the kids are not kind of feel out of place because their mom had passed away. But I know your family is very strong. You try to keep them involved in your culture and your dancing.
Yeah, so that has really been a source of strength for our family, especially in not being able to have justice in the courts for my sister. Really trying to find where we can find peace with what happened. And I think we really, and I can testify to it, that being involved in our traditional ceremony has really enabled me to continue to talk about what happened with her without going down a path that a lot of people choose or maybe can't help, which is not a good path.
Yeah.
When something tragic like this happens to our loved ones, we tend to gravitate towards things that are self-medication.
Yeah.
For me, the self-medication is the ceremony. Yeah. That's kind of where I found my strength at. And I continue to advocate for that with my nieces and nephews as well. And I mean, like I said, I can testify to the power of our ceremonies and helping us through these MMIW situations.
And they're pretty strong in the ceremony with you in that right now?
The kids are, they're coming. My niece Delia definitely is coming around more. My nephew Nicholas, he has a little bit of more of a hard time right now. He's a little older, so he's kind of finding his way through life and kind of seeing where his decisions have been taking him. Yeah. But we're praying and continue to pray for him. And my nephew Nathan, he's in a good path. He might not be too involved in ceremony yet, but he does come and he, he's doing good in his life. So that's prayers being answered.
It's good to keep them involved because when their mother passed away like that, they kind of tend to go off.
Yeah, that's what had happened. So their father, Felipe Solis, who's a member of the Hopland Band of Homo Indians, he really stepped up, and he's always been a good dad. But when they split up, Nicole had the kids with her. So when this happened to Nicole, he stepped up and said, the kids are going to come live with me. And he took them with him, and his family wasn't involved as much in the culture, but since have been more so. So that there was a little bit of disconnect there, but we've never been separated from the kids in any way. So, yeah. So he really did what he had to do, which we were so thankful for, because a lot of times, the native dads, it's hard to find those really good ones. Yeah. I know you're a really good one. It's not normal. Yeah, it's a rare thing, and it's a beautiful thing when we see that happening in our community.
Because I just really worry about when they pass like that. I always say, worry about the kids. They go with the fathers, and the father's not cultural. Then they lose all that they had with their mom. So that's the thing that I'm glad that you guys are keeping them together and keeping the culture with them.
Yeah, so we definitely try our best to do that. And it's really important. Like I said, for me, it's been a pillar of strength for myself and for my family. And it's a way that we could process what's really going on or the lack of progress in the case with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah. And did you ever thought about getting like a private investigator to help you out with your sister's case?
Yeah, we've thought about it. There was actually somebody who was working on Khadijah's case and kind of wanted to know if we needed any assistance on ours. But it was just, we really were in a time when this was offered to us was kind of scared of retaliatory actions. We didn't know who or even where to begin to point fingers towards. So there was definitely a long period of time when we were almost scared to attempt anything because we didn't know where this was coming from, where it came from. And but of course, over the years, we've kind of been a little bit more upfront with wanting to know and not scared to ask questions. Although it just seems like everything that we had mentioned to the police, they found nothing tangible. And they even at one time told us to stop calling them, and they didn't want to know anymore. Wow. They were just done with all our possibilities or leads that weren't, leading anywhere. So, and of course, too, they have kind of pacified us a few times saying they were so close, they were just about to, just so close, maybe one more thing and they have somebody, but this was years ago. Yeah. Nothing's ever came of it. So
nothing's ever come up or in the investigation or anything leads or anything like that?
No, but on the streets, you hear lots of stuff. On the streets, we hear things and, through he said, she said, and again, when we just don't have any faith in the police department to even let them know what's going on. I mean, they've told us themselves that they don't want to hear any more from us about that. So we kind of are just like I said, it always comes back to a ceremony. For me, I just pray for answers. And I know that I have faith in the Creator. And if he doesn't need us to know, it might be worse for us to know this truth. It could be for our own benefit that we don't see this ugliness in front of us. Because I honestly don't think my mom would be able to handle a hearing or court. I mean, it would just really be too much to hear the reasons of why or whatever the reasons might be. So, but again, not having answers really leads to this tremendous amount of wondering and unanswered questions and trying to fill in blanks and create these narratives and stories that I've been through every one. I blamed myself for years and years because it was my house. I didn't know if it was something to do with something I did. Were they coming after me? And just, I just was like, had to really work through that.
Yeah.
Even in therapy and seeking counsel within my community. But it all really boiled down to is just having faith in the Creator and letting things go and making sure that I walked in a good way to honor my sister's life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you think therapy really helps when in a time like this?
Oh,
therapy,
yeah. I couldn't imagine.
Especially with your ceremony also.
Yeah. So I definitely still see a therapist because of this.
Yeah.
And as the years go by, coming to MMIW events has really, it is beautiful, but it also takes a really negative toll on my spirit and my mental health. Yeah. Because talking about it and just repeating it and really seeing all the other hurting people, you can't help but feel their pain and share in that pain because you know what it feels like. So it's beautiful to see people coming together. But again, like I said, once we leave these spaces, we really have to pray and be really mindful of what comes with these spaces as well. So I do seek, and I still actively see a therapist about things like this.
When this is over today, we always say, like, you're still going to carry it tomorrow. And people all go home. This is a yearly thing, but you carry it all through the year?
Yeah, it's all through the year. But one really beautiful thing did just happen in Point Arena. We had a beautiful mural that was finished, dedicated to Nicole.
I've seen that. Yes, yeah, very nice.
And, I always thought, 2025, we're going to get answers. I was praying. I made, personal sacrifices, personal deals with the Creator, asking for something. And I really feel like the mural was that answer to a prayer of that dedication that I've been to telling my sister's story and really keeping her name, in people's minds and hearts and her spirit alive in that way. So we got this beautiful gift of this beautiful mural that we hope will draw out, the answers or guide people to wanting to say if they know something, or even the police as they ride by, they want to know more about that mural. Who was that? I want to be the one who solves that case. I want to, be connected to that. So
do you feel like there's people out there that do know but doesn't speak up?
Oh, yes. I did 100%. I feel people know and they just don't speak up, and for whatever reason that is. But I really like with Khadijah's case, from what, we hear, and of course, Ronnie's testimony, the lateral violence within Native communities is so strong. And I think that's one of the things that, from what I have learned and listening to stories, what really differs between the California story and the out-of-state Native story is ours seem to be a little bit more lateral violence within our community, especially when they're happening on the reservation. Mm-hmm. I don't really, from what I've seen with the cases that I'm aware of, it hasn't really came from outside. Yeah. It's like within our own. So addressing those issues, I think, is really important. And I think that the new programming that's coming through all the different tribal entities is really combating that. Yeah. And I can really see that they're looking for solutions to keep that and prevent that. And that is prevention for MMIW. And I see a lot of it's around culture. So again, I'll continue to say it. The culture, the ceremony, being active in it is really going to be what our communities need to heal and to prevent this from continuing.
Yes. It's in Arizona too, with people missing. It starts from home, and it starts from there. And then when it comes out, then we start talking about legislation and laws. But really, it started from home. And so we need to really go back and try to help our community heal that. And then maybe it'll help when it comes out this way.
Yeah, I always think about what I could have done different to prevent what was happening at my sister's house. I mean, with my sister at my house. And, I think about a lot of mistakes and the way I was living at that time in my life that could have been prevented. Yeah. That things that I should have been maybe keeping away from, that I wasn't, and that could have brought these evil things to my house. So I definitely am a advocate for sobriety and walking in a good way and really honoring the commitment to our ceremonies.
Is there anything you want to say, right now, just to close it out? Anything you want people to know about your sister or about the case or about MMIP?
Yeah, so if you want to visit the Justice for Nicole Smith page on Facebook, you can follow anything that we do on behalf of Nicole Smith. You can follow the lives of her children and their accomplishments and successes that they are still accomplishing. And just to give people a message of hope that, life continues and we can make it a beautiful thing in honoring our loved ones. Also, I am in the process of writing a play about what happened to my sister, and it's going to be called Her Spirit Lives. So stay tuned for that, hopefully coming in 2027.
I've been looking forward for that,
yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Bernadette, for taking the time and coming out here and talk. And I can't wait to find you and your group dancing somewhere or singing. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Justice for all, MMIW, MMIP. Oh.
Thank you all for tuning into the Fight for Existence podcast. If you guys want to keep up with the podcast in general, what you could do is follow the social media account. The Instagram account is going to be Fight for Existence. Again, that's Fight number 4 our existence. Go ahead and give that a follow. And if you guys have any questions for us or you guys would like to be on the podcast, in the Instagram there's a link. Go ahead and click that. No matter what kind of platform you guys listen to this podcast on, there's always that plus or that follow button. So go ahead and click that so you guys can get notifications when we upload our next episode. And if you guys are listening on Spotify, what you could do is go ahead and rate the show. And if you guys are only listening on Apple Podcasts, what you can also do is write a review for the show. Thank you all for tuning into the Fight for Existence podcast, and we will talk to you next time.